Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion.
Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, I'm doing Best of Def Leppard 1996 to 2022. The reason I'm doing this is basically because, in my opinion, from about 1996 to 2022, there is a limited selection of great Def Leppard songs. But there are some good songs in there. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to sort of highlight some of my favorite songs from that period, which is almost, 25, 30 years. Basically, of course, since the mid 90s, when I guess the type of music that Def Leppard were playing became less popular. Obviously, there's been a good resurgence in recent years, going out on stadium tours with bands like Motley Crue and getting some good number of people turning up to the concerts. But of course, you have to remember most of those people are turning up to hear the hit songs, the songs from their albums from the 80s, especially Hysteria, but of course also Pyromania, two massive albums for them. But they also had two albums prior to that, coming out around the initially around the time of the new wave of British heavy metal, a band that some people put in the new wave of British heavy metal category, others don't. But High and Dry also a much heavier album than anything really that they have ended up doing over the last few years. And that was the first album as well that they had that they did with Mutt Lange, who eventually then really starts getting into the production side of things and making them even slicker and more commercial than they had been on the High and Dry album, but with lots of success as well. Of course, they had good success with the 1992's Adrenalize album, but nothing like the success that they'd had with Hysteria. Mutt Lange's contributing songwriting, not so much production on that album. And of course, when grunge hits, it's an interesting time for them. They released Volt in 1995, and I think that's multi-platinum. But of course, that's really playing off the hits that they'd had in the 80s and the early 90s. So things were looking good when Slang came out, but it really, again, like a lot of the bands from the 80s, those hard rock bands from the 80s, they kind of struggled a little bit through the 90s. Like I say, things have picked up, at least as far as, touring is concerned. But, and like a lot of bands these days, album sales just aren't what they used to be. So you can't really look at that too much. No one's really selling albums like they used to back in the day. One band I guess I kind of compare them to a little bit is Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi also massive in the 80s. Also struggled perhaps a little bit in the 90s. It didn't really sort of put out as much product in the mid to late 90s as even what they've been putting out over the last few years. But I will have to say, and the chances of me doing a top 10 Bon Jovi from a similar sort of time period is probably not going to happen, because they really there'd be very limited selections. Yes, I like the Bounce album. There'd be just almost a few songs from that album, but there's really not very much for me to choose from as far as Bon Jovi's concerned. Def Leppard's a little bit different. They've had a few albums since 1996, and I have ended up selecting probably about 2 or 3 songs, from a couple of albums. One song from one album. There is one album I've selected no songs from, and that is the album X. Really, for me, that's not the best. But they're still a band that I look forward to checking out, because, like I say, there might be at least 2 or 3 songs on there that I like. I guess I'll talk more about the albums that they've released since 1996 and what I think about them as I kind of go through my countdown. So it's I'm going to do my top 10 Def Leppard songs from 1996 to 2022. Just what I think, just my opinion. But in no particular order. In fact, what I've done is I'm going to list them as I would put them if I was to release it as a sort of a best of Def Leppard 1996 to 2022, if I was going to create a album that was called that, this is the track listing in the order that they would come in. I'm going to do 10 songs. So if we were thinking of it as an album, it's going to have 2 sides, and so 5 songs on each side. I do have some Def Leppard product. Usually I like to show the physical product that I have when I'm sort of talking about a band or doing these sort of countdowns, but I don't have everything. And what I do have is some of it CD. I will show this. This is Best of Def Leppard Volume 2. And I picked this up mainly because it does have some of those songs from that 96 period that is in my top 10 that I don't have on vinyl. So I picked it up just for that. It's also got some it actually is quite predominantly sort of post 1992, these songs. So that's what's quite handy about it. Yeah, of course, the Best of Volume 1 had more of the 80s songs on it. So yeah, definitely looking at the track listing, actually maybe everything is post sort of 92 period. But even, again, not everything post 92 has been great at all, but there have been some good songs. So let's get into it. So like I said, I'm going to sort of treat it like it's my own personal best of, but 1996 to 2022. I'm saying 2022 because that's when their last album, Diamond Star Halos, was released. They have released a couple of singles recently. One's a cover song, and I think a newer song as well called 73. They recorded it with Tom Morello. The other one, I think, Stand Up. It's a cover song. Oh, Stand By Me, sorry, it's called Stand By Me. That's a cover song. But yeah, other than that, then there's the album from 2022. So I'm just going to say, there's nothing post 2022 on my top 10 songs. So we'll just call it up to and including Diamond Star Halos. All right, so let's get into it. So if I was going to, create a best of Def Leppard 96 to 2022, I would open up with the song Go from the Star Spangled, whatever it's called, Lounge, whatever it's called. That's probably not the exact title, but I think you know the one I'm talking about. This is a really good heavy song. Really like this one. It opens up the album and also is a bit misleading. A little bit like Bon Jovi and the These Days album, which kicks off with Hey God, and you think, well, this is going to be a rocking album. But unfortunately, the rest of the songs on the album don't really match that sort of intensity and energy and just quality, really. So that is the only song on my best of 10 songs that are going to make it from that album, but it is a good song. So that's kicking it off in a good way to kick off my best of album. So that's coming in first. Now, all these songs too, I've created as a playlist. So my 10 favorite Def Leppard songs, 96 to 2022. So you can find that link to that playlist in the description. Second up, I'm going to go with the song Dangerous from the Def Leppard self-titled album. I think that probably came out around 2015, something like that. And for me, it's one of their better albums that they've done over the last sort of 25, 30 years. There's some good songs on there. And I think I've only selected 2. Yeah, I think I've selected 2 songs from that album. This is the first one. But I probably could have selected another couple. I think there's at least 4 good songs on that album. So it'd be one of my favorites from the last sort of, like I say, 25, 30 years. I think it's quite an acceptable album, which is why I must admit, I've got to be honest with you, it's why I found Diamond Star Halos a little bit disappointing because this self-titled album, I think, had been a bit of a return to form. So yeah, my second track is Dangerous. Really good song. Next up, I'm going to go with the song Promises. So this is from Euphoria. And I think Matt Lang actually comes in, and I'm not sure about production, but he definitely has songwriting, I think, on this song. And it sounds like the type of song that could have been on Hysteria. I mentioned production because it's seemingly produced like that. A really good song too. And I think that's one of their better ones from the 90s. So from the album Euphoria and Promises. That's going to be my third track. Fourth track, I'm going to the 1996 album Slang, and I'm actually going to go with the self-titled track. So this kind of reminds me a little bit of Pour Some Sugar on Me. It's kind of got that sort of, rap type vocals on it, and I think it's good. I think it's a good song. I enjoy it. I think sometimes people have called that 1996 album a little grungy, some grunge influences, and yeah, perhaps it's definitely, it definitely sounds different to Hysteria. But I think that song, that's quite upbeat. And, I don't think it would have been out of place on an album like Hysteria. So, yeah, Slang's my fourth selection. Fifth selection, I'm going to go with another song from Slang. And would be probably one of, if not my favorite Def Leppard song post Hysteria. So, even better than anything on Adrenalize, which isn't saying much. But yeah, Work It Out. I think that is a fantastic song. There was a music video for that. A couple of these, at least two or three of these songs, maybe even more of the songs that I'm mentioning, there are music videos for. But I'm not choosing them based on the fact that they were singles or released as music videos. I'm just choosing the ones that I like, the songs that I like. But yeah, there's a music video for this one. I was just watching it actually on YouTube. Not a lot of views, so it's not particularly popular, but I think it's a great song. So yeah, Work It Out is my fifth selection. So that would be my side one. So side one, best of Def Leppard, 1996 to 2022. I think that's a really good side. Starting off with Go, then I've got Dangerous, Promises, Slang, and then Work It Out. So then turning it over, pretending it's a record, and I would kick off side two, my sixth selection, with Take What You Want, which is the opening song from Diamond Star Halos. And yeah, the only song from that album that makes it. I think it's a really good song. Again, good way to open the album, but then it gets a little bit disappointing after that. I actually did a review of that album, when it came out. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that review, if anything. Because I did the review not long after hearing the album, and I wasn't overly positive. I think I was hopeful that maybe some songs would grab me a little bit more over time, but that has definitely not happened. So yeah, and like I said, it's reflected in the fact that only one song from that album is going to make it onto my top 10. But it's a good one. All right, my seventh song, and track two on the second side, is Paper Sun. So this is another song from Euphoria. This is a really solid album, actually, at least as far as the songs that I like, I think are really good. So yeah, Paper Sun, really good song. Mid-tempo, but still rocks, and vocals, guitar work, production, really solid. So yeah, there's some good songs on Euphoria. If you haven't sort of checked that one out, it's worth checking out. Because yeah, even I'm selecting three from that album on my top 10, but there's maybe a couple more that could have made it as well. That are reasonable songs at least. So that's my seventh selection. Number 8, I'm going with a bit of a sort of not a track that I guess people talk about very much, but I think it's a really good song. It's from the album Slang, and it's called Deliver Me. I think it's really a great song. But it wasn't released as a single or anything like that. But yeah, just one of those sort of songs that people don't really talk about. Let's be honest, that album Slang was not very successful for them, but I think there's some good songs on there, and Deliver Me is one of them as far as I'm concerned. So that's my 8th selection. Number 9, I'm going with another track from Euphoria. It's my third and final selection from Euphoria. So Euphoria gets the most songs along with Slang. So Slang has 3, Euphoria has 3, and the song I've gone with is Day After Day. It matches up really nicely with Paper Sun. I think it's another really good song on the album. It wasn't a single or anything like that, but I think it was a really good song. And I would have liked it to have been a single. But yeah, it was not. But again, this is Euphoria when that comes out. Bit of a time there where really Def Leppard are struggling a little bit. And so that's my 9th selection. And then finally, I'm going to finish with Let's Go. So I opened up the album, or my best of album, with Go. I'm going to finish with Let's Go. And that's a song that opens up the self-titled album, and I think it's a really good song. Good rocker, good way to finish, because there's a few mid tempos there, sort of mid tempo songs sort of coming through at the end. So just to pick up the pace a little bit. And that one really, even the riff, I'm sure it very much on that song. I like it, but it reminds me of a riff you might have heard on Hysteria, one of those songs from their successful Hysteria album. Definitely, it sounds very familiar. But anyway, I do like it. Good song. And yeah, so that's my 10th and final selection. So there we go, my 10 best Def Leppard songs from a long period of time. There wasn't, I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of great songs, in my opinion, to choose from, but those are some of my favorites. And I think that's kind of the way it is with the band like Def Leppard at the moment. Still worth checking out, but the whole album, you're probably going to struggle to get one of those classic albums that they had in the 80s, like Pyromania, where it's just like every song's a banger, and same with Hysteria. Even I know that's a little bit more slicker, and some people don't like it quite so much. And yeah, I'd have to say I think Pyromania over time has aged better, and is an album that I like more than Hysteria now. But I still think there were some great songs on Hysteria, and of course Hysteria's got the problem of being so overplayed. It's been played so much, but had so many hits and everything. But Pyromania, of course, had hits as well. It was a massive album. But yeah, so it's actually quite, it's quite nice. I quite enjoy just playing these odd songs from these albums that have come out throughout the years, because they haven't been overplayed. And so I do enjoy playing them from time to time. So I've got this playlist, and I definitely will be playing the playlist from time to time when I just want those 10 sort of Def Leppard songs that, I haven't heard that much, but I know I like. Anyway, let me know, what do you think about Def Leppard, especially that period from sort of 96 through to 2022, even through to now. What do you think of them? Are there some songs you like? Have you sort of continued to follow them and get their albums? Let me know in the comments. All right, if you like this type of content, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, you'll be notified when I put out new content. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.